Hey guys, it's Ryan, the Disc Golf Dad, back again. It's been a long time since I've done a video. Part of that is because I've taken a little bit of time, giving them back to my wife after doing so much with the Turtle River Toss. So I'm really excited to be getting back into this and doing a lot more in the local area. Some exciting news, I'm working on a couple different courses here soon. Hopefully this week I'll be meeting with a university to try to get them to put in a disc golf course and a ball golf course, which is exciting. But the reason I'm here today is to talk about my in the bag, the average man in the bag here. I want to go through and talk about what I have and what I'll be throwing this season. A lot has changed since last year. First things first, the thing that hasn't changed is my RidgeRoller. What can I say about it except for it's the best bag on the market, hands down. It can fit an insane amount of discs. It's comfortable, it's nice and sturdy enough to hold my large rear end. So it's the best bag I can find, as well as, turn it around for you here, I've got the Ridge fridge this year, which is amazing. 2 cup holders, really awesome, couple pouches here, the magnetic cooler, and then I've got the putter pouch as well. Looking to upgrade the putter pouch to their new one eventually. But I just absolutely love this thing. The Ridge fridge is a recent purchase, and it has been amazing to be able to carry the drinks with me and to be able to have space for my wallet and not have to take up space on my bag. So it's just been awesome to have. So yeah, let's get back into the most important part, which are the discs. So I'm going to start with my putters. This year, one big switch is I've gone to PA3s from Prodigy. I'd never really thrown Prodigy, tried them out with my friend Brent Waters, who is recently sponsored by them. So I tried them out and I fell in love with them. I used to putt with McPros, and obviously those are much more expensive now, the old ones. These are a little shallower, not as much depth in the disc, and I like that because it allows me to, what I feel, have more of a powerful putt and not have as much loft on it. So this is my main putter right here, Brent Waters stamped, PA3. It's beautiful, it's got a little bit of swirl to it, and it's a nice purple. And then this right here is from Airborne Disc Golf. It's a Majestic 350G PA in the Spectrum plastic, which is brand new for the PA3s, I believe. It's an unbelievable disc, so thank you Caleb Visca, thank you Airborne Disc Golf, thank you Prodigy. It's an amazing disc, and I'm really glad that they're both purple too, because I like to color coordinate some of my discs if possible. So those are my main putters. Now here are some of my main approach discs. Another Prodigy addition for me this year is the A3. Very, very stable disc. This has the Turtle River Toss stamp on it. So this disc for me has become, when I want to basically go for right at the pin and count on a disc to stop, this thing is so grabby. It hits the ground and it has virtually no skip. It's very overstable, so I can use it with the forehand or the backhand. So I'm really liking this disc a lot. The Noah Mainsma Nova, another one from Airborne Disc Golf. Nova, I've thrown it for a while now. Straight disc, I know where it's going to go. I always can count on it to have the exact same flight every time. So this is another backhand approach disc for me. And then this one is a driving putter for me, the Casaplast Berg in the K1 line. Originally I grabbed it for putting, actually. And I like it for putting, but only in headwinds. Like when it's very strong, windy day, I'm gonna break this out to putt because this thing is a tank. But it's become a really nice disc for me on the tee, and I've used it a lot. I can get it into that 250 range if I really crank on it, and it's very overstable. So I've been using it on some of the short holes that I know I need a disc that I can throw out right and guarantee it's gonna come back left for me. So those are a few of my main approach discs there. Put those back in. Another addition to my bag, a FlighTowel. Towel hasn't always been the thing that I cared about the most, but I grabbed one of these because I've always heard about them. The towel itself is incredible. It's like very, very absorbent, which I really like because a lot of those microfiber towels you get, it's basically like moving water around instead of actually soaking it up. This thing does a good job of soaking it up. And then obviously it's got the little fob on it. This has a black destroyer fob. I've been using it to warm myself up a little bit, which is nice. I'm terrible about warming up, and this has been a nice addition. So thank you, FlighTowel, for that. Put that back here. All right, let's go into some of my mid-ranges here, as well as some utility discs. So the first one, just added this to the bag. It's a Wysocki Pig. I heard him describing it on one of his videos, and it sounded like a disc I would really like. So what I've been using it for is forehand up shots, and I like it a lot. It's got a lot of grab to it, so it doesn't get a ton of skip, but there's a little bit to it, so it's really nice. It has a nice little finish on it. I've only thrown it about 4 or 5 times, honestly, so working this one in, but I'm excited to see what it's like. Champion T-Bird 3, I've had this one for a long time. The reason that's up in this pocket is because it's only a utility disc for me at this point. It's very, very flippy now, so I use it for basically forehand shots that I really need to have continue to go left. So I've been using it a lot when I get into bad situations, and I really need to know that it's going to go right where I point it. It's basically a straight flying forehand disc now. This is another PA3. This one is kind of my thrower. It's got the Turtle River Toss stamp on it. This one's been my throwing PA3. The other two have been my putters. So that's really all this is. No big difference. It's another PA3. And then we've got 2 Caimans here. I've got the Star Caiman, and then I've also got the CFR Champ Caiman. Both of them are very similar. The Star has a little bit more glide to it, so it gets a little bit more distance for me. But they're both really nice discs that I like a lot. So those are pretty standard for me when it comes to off the tee when I'm trying to get about 300 feet or so. That's about what I shoot for that distance. All right. So to my straight discs. So a couple new additions this year. I've got the flat top KC Rock. I've got a misprint Big Pro Rock 3, and then I've got the Luster MD. The Luster MD is the flippiest of the 3 by far, but if I throw this thing on a pretty steep hyzer, it's going to not only flatten out, but it's going to ride to the right a little bit. So I've been using this in rare occasions, honestly. I don't know if it's going to continue to stay in the bag. I like it a lot. I just don't have a lot of reason to use it because when in doubt, I'm going to go to my forehand because I'm a forehand dominant player. So I haven't had a lot of uses for it, but I love the disc. The rocks have been insanely amazing for me because I had never really thrown a disc that I could control and throw straight. I had always kind of gone with stuff that was too overstable because of how often I throw forehand, so I needed the overstability for that forehand for me. These have become an awesome thing for me when I need to throw those shots straight up the gut and know that it's going to stay on the line that I put it at. So this one's got our North Dakota Leagues tournament stamp, league stamp, and I really like it a lot. So there's those. All right, so let's get into the main pocket here. So these two right here, this is my main roller. I don't do a lot of rollers, I'm still learning that. This is a Champ Sidewinder, and this is from the Cast Clay Disc Golf Club. This was actually given to me by Wayne Fole. I like this disc a lot. I can get the nice big S-curve with it, but I don't really use it for that because I have some discs that I can get a little further with that type of shape. So I end up using this only for those roller shots that I need. The Savant, something I threw in this year, it is basically a longer Thunderbird for me. I can get it quite a good distance. I've been really liking how I can control it. It's a really, really flat disc, but I can get that turn on it if I throw it flat, it's gonna have a really nice turn on it. I can also roll this disc, but I haven't been doing that too much. It's been mostly for controlled shots. I used it at Turtle River a couple times in those long wooded shots that that the course had. There's those. A couple more fairway drivers. I've got the Star T-Bird 3 and then the Metal Flake T-Bird 3. The Metal Flake T-Bird 3 is my forehand disc for shorter distances. This thing, I only use it for about 200 to 250, but I can control it, know it's going to go straight, and it's going to have a nice finish at the end. It's a little more overstable. This is a Star T-Bird 3. I use this mostly backhand. I don't use it a lot, honestly. I could probably take this disc out of the bag, but I like it. I've used it on a few occasions. I just need to work it into my rotation a little bit more. Honestly, I have too many discs, that's the issue. These two, some people will probably disagree with me, but I think they're basically around the same type of disc. I've got the Big Germ Thunderbird, and then I've got the Dark Maul PD. The Dark Maul PD is just a understable version of this disc, in my opinion. They both fly very straight, whereas this one will have more of a straight finish. This one will have that fade to the left for me. So when I'm really trying to get that long flat flight, I'm going with this disc most of the time if I need it to finish, this disc if I need it to land straight. I like them both, and I can get this one to turn too, which is nice. If I throw it flat to a little bit of an anhyzer, I can get it to turn and then kind of ride out straight for a little bit at the end. So really like both of these discs. I'm excited to throw the 2019 into my bag at some point for the Big Germ. A couple of my go-to forehand discs. I almost only exclusively throw these forehand. These are Sexton Firebirds. This here is a 2018. This one is a 2019. 2018 is flippy. This thing is not a beefcake at all. I was hoping it would be, but it's not. But I use this for shape when I'm trying to throw a forehand. I can throw this thing with a really nice S curve on a forehand, and it's really flippy. So I don't use it a lot anymore unless it's to shape it through with a forehand. I did have an ace on this one right when it was brand new, basically the first throw. And this is this year's, the new Sexton Firebirds. I didn't play disc golf back in 15, so I didn't know the 15s very well. But from what I've heard, this is the closest to 15s, and these things are tanks. So I really like this one a lot. I can pump a lot on my forehand and know that it's going to finish well. So this is my basically shorter or a little more controlled forehand for me, because I can put it on it pretty well, and I know it's going to hold the line for me and then just dive to the right. I also have a max in the bag, but I use that for a little more stability. Alright. A couple new ones to the bag. So Innova Corvette. I really love this disc. You have to have a fast arm to throw it. I don't have the fastest in the world, so I'm sure I'm probably not getting its full potential out, but I'm working on that. But this disc is, it's understable, but it flies so straight for so very long. It's basically a much longer, Thunderbird. This thing absolutely bombs. I normally throw around the 370 range backhand. I've been throwing this consistently above 400, and it's basically flipping up, riding straight, maybe going a little to the right, but mostly you're flying straight forever and then just dying out at the end, and it's awesome. This is going to be a disc that stays in my bag, and I'm really excited to keep working on my arm to get it better. Literally just threw this in the bag today. The S-Line DD3, I've thrown it twice now, just a little bit of field work. It's basically a destroyer. Some people want to fight me on that, I'm sure, but it's basically a destroyer. It's kind of like an older destroyer that's not as tanky as the Macbeth destroyers, but I like it a lot. You can never have too many destroyers, so I've got a few of these. Really like them a lot, and I'm excited to see what they're like, but they're basically a destroyer, so don't let anybody tell you anything different. And then speaking of destroyers, the disc I have the most of, I've got these two understable Rock 30 destroyers. These things, they're the exact same disc. They are pretty much the identical flight, identical stability, and I keep them in there. They're basically my water discs, as well as if I want to shape and have a little more flex on the forehand. I can get this thing pretty far. Jeff Ash dyed this Ricky Wysocki destroyer for me. The Ricky Wysocki destroyer is actually very similar to the DD3. It's a little more understable than the Macbeth destroyers. I like it a lot though. I can throw it pretty far. I almost exclusively use this backhand, but it's a nice disc. I really love the look on it, thanks to Jeff Ash. And then the first disc I ever bought on my own, 4-time Paul Macbeth Star Destroyer. This is the pinned kind. This thing is an absolute tank. I've lost it like 4 times. Almost every time it's been Alex Peel that has found it for me. So I don't know what I would do without this disc, and I'm gonna cry the day that I lose it. I've got some to back it up, but I can't trust that it'll be the exact same flight as this thing. I can pump this thing with a forehand flex about 425. I've even hit about 440 with it. So this is the disc that if I need a distance driver for me, and I know forehand is the shot I want to do, this is going to be it. And I love this disc. And then my last few, because I am a forehand dominant player, my last few are my mainly forehand discs. I've got a airborne stamped S-Line PD2. This pretty much for me is, so you know, I've got the Max and I've got the Sexton Firebird and I've got the PD2. This is basically a step down from a destroyer, but a little further than the Firebird and the Max. So you know, it gets a little more distance for me. I use it for those a lot of higher shots where I need to get over something. But I love this disc a lot. I've actually used it backhand a little bit when I'm trying to do those big spike hyzers, but really like it, love the stamp, always love airborne stuff. I love supporting those local people. Great disc for me. I've got a few backups for that as well. I've got a Brenster Destroyer. It's basically one of my main backhand destroyers when I need to have stability. About 350 on a backhand hyzer for me. That's what I typically use it for. When I try to go forehand with this, it bends over a little bit too much. I think probably because of how much I put on my forehand. But I like this a lot. I still use it. If there was one disc that I could take out of the bag that I pretty much have several of these, it would be this disc because it's not much different from my other destroyers. And then probably my most dependable disc, the disc that I throw the most, is my Star Max. Like I said, I am a forehand dominant player by far, and this disc is so beefy, but I can, I crank on my forehands, and when I crank on this thing, I can get it to fly straight for a long time, and then it has a wicked skip. So I use this on those really big dog leg rights, and it's a great disc for me. Jake Johnson can attest too that I've gotten to where I can really control this disc for weird upshots to escape out of things, behind a tree, throwing basically at like a roller angle for most, but this thing is so beefy that it comes out of it and flattens out. I've got a few of these. I love these things and they're so beefy. It's my go-to disc. So that's my bag this year. Some things can definitely change. I can see a few things going in and out throughout the season, and we'll see. But I'm excited to see how the season goes. Excited to try to get my first advanced win. We'll see. But I'm also going to do a giveaway here. Once I see I'm going to go for about 25 different in the bags. I want to see 25 people do in the bags. And once those people do in the bags and tag me on Facebook, as well as share it in your local groups, things like that, I'm going to go ahead and give away a disc to one of those 25 people. We'll see what the disc is. I'm going to talk to the person individually and see what kind of stuff they like and try to give them something that's similar. So 25 people, the first 25 people to do an in the bag, you can either put it on Facebook or YouTube, but just tag me in it. And I want to see what you have, and I want to see what other people throw. So yeah, really excited for the season, guys, and let's get it off and let's get going.